Welcome back, everyone. For those who have been tuning in to my channel, love you all. Thanks for the support. And anyone who is new, peace and healing and many blessings. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you have been viewing our content and you love what you see, so we can get these videos to you as often as we can. I hope you enjoyed what we're about to bring to you, and shalom. So we're going to be beginning to make some homemade butter. But over here with my mom, if her hand's not too full with the baby's going to be doing the old school way, with it shake up in the jar. And I am going to be doing it the new school way, using the mixer. So there's several stages that go into making butter. You have the soft peaks that makes the has the thick cream. Then you have whipped cream, and then you have when the butter starts to separate itself from the buttermilk. So I'm hopefully going to try to record showing these different steps as the cream itself, because it has to be a continuous process of us constantly whipping it. So you'll more likely be able to see it from my end than my son's end. You may be able to see it from his end because he has a jar until it gets frothy and see-through. But other than that, let's get to it.
Shalom.
So between them shaking, I'm going to be starting this at the mixer. So I'm going to be starting this on a slow. So I got 5 options on my blender, and I'm just going to be taking it slow. I am doing this in the kitchen, so I pray it don't make too much of a mess. So as you see, it's starting to get a lot thicker, and I'm now moving up to level 2 on the blender, and this is where you're going to start to get those soft peaks that slowly turns into whipped cream. This is the whipped cream starting to break down. As you see the liquid down there, that is now the buttermilk. So as I begin to whip this one, I'm going to go up to a 4. I'm on 3 now. This is going to start to separate, and you're going to see the liquid separate from the butter. That's the buttermilk and the butter. And this will be the last process before we actually start making that butter. I'm going to scrape the sides down with the spatula that my mom had right there. And then I'm going to continue whipping this until everything separates and the butter separates from the buttermilk. I happen to reach the butter phase, but as you see, it's clunky and very oily. I already added my ice cubes to help solidify it. So now I'm going to begin to bring it all together and separate the butter from the buttermilk. But pretty much, this is pretty much butter. During this stage, it is pretty much solidified. But it's awesome, and that's pretty much it. They still got 5 minutes remaining. They're in the late whipped cream stage, but they getting there. I'm about to add some ice cubes to their jar to help solidify their butter as well.
You see the butter in there? Mommy said if you see a big yellow clunk, that means you got butter.
Yeah, so there goes buttermilk and there goes butter. All praises. So right now I'm separating the buttermilk from the butter. It is a messy process. So I'm just scooping out the butter and straining it out. So I'm going it? Yeah. So I'm keeping the butter that's going into the bowl. And I'm going to pretty much wipe that off. And then I'm going to put it in this butter here. So this is our butter here. And I just lost a whole bunch of butter and landed on top of my shoe. So I just separated all the buttermilk that I'm going to keep. So I got like one 12-ounce jar with a little bit left in the bowl, which I'll show you guys later. So this is pretty much our butter. And you don't want your butter to go rancid, so you're going to have to wash it to get all the buttermilk out and then strain it again. So I'm going to make sure I got some cool water, perfectly cold. This is the hard part because it's going to get really, really cold. And you're going to just pretty much just soak your butter. Now, if you don't mind coming a little closer, you're going to see it start to change color. You're going to pretty much keep on washing this out until the water turns out to be clear. So as you see, once you do all that, you're going to pretty much just wring it out and pretty much bolt it together. This is the messy part. A lot of people may not want to do this. You can do it with gloves if you choose to. And you're just going to bring it all together until you form one big clunk of butter. And when you strain it out, I put the butter right back into the strainer. Strain all that buttermilk goes out to the sink. And then I do the process again and again until the butter comes clear. So I broke them up into pieces. This is the last one. You can take it away. And I pretty much just mash it in my hands. It can be a messy part. And as you can see in the bowl, it's practically clear. So that means most or all of the buttermilk is out. And so as I squeeze it, the water is no longer cloudy. You see some of the butter still left over in there. So let's see, guys. I'm not sure how it's supposed to look until we can see the water is clear. So there's no butter coming out. And if there's any little buttermilk left, it's not going to be enough to make the butter go rancid. So pretty much your job is done, minus the mess on your hands. So these are my 3 that I normally let sit for a few minutes to get any excess water. Because last thing you want to sit there and do is have this water crystals put inside there. So I'm going to mash these together in some parchment paper and make a nice block. Season it with some salt and mash it together, and the salt helps preserve this. And this is pretty much our homemade butter. The one that Jeremiah, my mother, made, I'm going to mix herbs. So we're going to have an herb butter, and then we're going to have a regular salted butter. My son's and my mom's one was a little bit shy of being solidified, so it was a bit mushy, but I managed to get it back solid with some ice cubes and some ice cold water. Did the same process, but since his wasn't as strong as mine as far as being able to stay together and it was more clunky than loose, I'm going to be using dried seasoning. So we have some garlic salt, Italian seasoning, and we have some basil because we like basil. We're going to do it with the dry herbs first, and if we like it, we're going to try it with fresh herbs. Yes, but I like basil. And next time we'll try with fresh herbs. We do still have one more pint left, so if we do like it that way, we can always try with the fresh herbs. Mine, I'm just going to sit there and mold out as is and take a nice block or round oblong and sprinkle some pink Himalayan salt, mash it, and then that's pretty much it. So that's how you make butter, short and sweet to the point, minus the messy part of having to wash it. But generally, this plain butter unsalted lasts about 7 to 10 days in your fridge. To make it, to add preservation to it, to make it last a little bit longer, you would add seasonings and or salt to help it at least be 2 weeks. But ours was gone a little over 2 weeks. So I think our salt pushed it to about 3 weeks. So I don't know how long necessarily it will go bad. But for us, it was 3 weeks with just a basic pink Himalayan salt, and we used it awesomely in our house. So it went great. It is like the stick butter, where it kind of needs to has that cut versus being a spreadable one. But if you do want that spreadable one, that's pretty much molded as is and then put in a container and it'll be spread. So you have different levels of your butter that you can make. I have not made butter or a looser butter where it's not as a hard block, but I can also make those if that is a suggestion, and actually test and try it out and actually see how long am I supposed to sit there and stop the process to make it an extra butter. But we'll show you the end result shortly. sprinkled some Himalayan salt and mashed them all together to create the blocks that you see here. I did my son's Erd one first, but I mixed the dry seasoning and then folded it using parchment paper to make the shape. Set it in the fridge for 1 hour, and I kind of took it out about halfway because we need some butter for our rice for dinner, but it turned out to be amazing. Here is the leftover buttermilk that's from my butter and also the buttermilk that my son was making. But other than that, I hope you guys love what you have seen. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe again, and tune in for our future videos. Peace and healings. Shalom.